UFC Matters shows for free a week. But if you want to support the channel, there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast or video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications option. Hit the thanks button to buy a super sticker. You can do this on the live chat too. You can also join our Patreon page or buy us a coffee at the link in all of our video descriptions below. We are also looking for sponsors. If you want our latest advertising rates and how you can get involved, then email John at nufcmatters1892@gmail.com. Thanks for watching.
Attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true. And it feels alright when they come and say to you, the only thing that makes us all believe.
Good evening, welcome along to NUFC Matters. It is talking at Toon with me and Sid. How are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. Yourself?
Very good, very good. Songs from the Attic is where you can find Sid. His podcast is up and running and has been for a few years now. And music is your thing, and that's the place to go to. We'll obviously have a musical interlude halfway through the show. No Rob this week, but he has sent us a video, so he is with us in a different way, in a different medium this week. But let's have a look back then at the closing of the transfer window. We discussed last week what we thought might happen. Isak's gone. First of all, just give us an overall assessment of the transfer window, Sid, from your point of view.
Yeah, it's a strange one, isn't it? I think the squad's miles better. I have to say the depth of the squad is considerably better. I mean, we've sort of moved up in terms of the quality, so there's not a huge drop off. But for me, the first team's no better. But the squad itself is miles better. I mean, I'll give it 7 out of 10 if I had to give it a sort of number. So I'm fairly happy with it all. As I say, we've got a right winger who looks pretty decent. I know he was terrible the other day, but he played well against Liverpool. But I don't think we've got any real instant starters. Is my big worry. But we do have people who can come and slot straight in, and there's not a massive drop in quality like there seemed to be a little bit last year. You know. So that's one of my that's my sort of only gripe really, but I think we've bought well. I'm really pleased with Voltemade. I think I might have pronounced that incorrectly. I do apologise if I have. Really pleased with him. I think last week I was saying Cunha was the player I really wanted. He's the Cunha replacement. He's the guy who plays very very similar to him, and a bit like Pedro as well, who was at Brighton and who's done really well at Chelsea. So he's not an out-and-out number 9. He's a sort of 10, 9.5, if there was such a number. He's that sort of player who can do a job as a centre forward. But I think he's gonna create more creativity, if that makes sense, with the team, because we're crying out for an attacking midfielder, and he's that guy who may be able to do that. But as it's sort of 10, 9.5, or whatever you want to, as I say, whatever you want to call him, I still think we're short. I still think we're short of players. I still think we need a defensive midfielder and an attacking midfielder, and this is going to be a bit controversial here. I mean, I was miffed that the Asula deal was pulled. I thought that was a poor move, in my opinion. I thought the idea of selling him for good price with the option to buy him back, which teams like Chelsea and Man City do all the time, I thought that was a really good idea. And if the guy comes good, he's obviously a good egg because of the fact that they wanted to buy him, the option of buying him back. That tells you that he's a decent lad, but he's not performed and he don't look like a centre forward. I thought that was a good idea. This is where it gets controversial. I would have done the same with Lewis Miley, and I would have sold him with a buyback option just because I don't think he's going to get enough games. So for me, if we'd had that option with Elliot Anderson, we'd have all bought him back this year. After a fantastic year, we would have cried out for an Elliot Anderson in our squad. So that's what I would personally have done, and I would have sold him with a buyback option. I would have also sold Joe Willock, if I'm being brutally honest. He'd probably go on a free transfer now next summer, unless they get a couple of million for him at Christmas, because I think he's out of contract. And then there's a few out of contracts at the end of the year as well. So again, it's going to be another sort of turbulent year. And I know how in the past it's used evolution rather than revolution, but it's almost been somewhere in the middle this year, hasn't it? We've had 6 people brought in, and then we've got a few kids coming in as well who look very promising, by the way. Therefore, it's been a good window. It's been a good window, especially where we were a short while ago. I think it's a week ago where we were thinking, when are we going to get a centre forward? We've got 2 coming in, and I really, really rate Visser. I've quoted to friends before, I think he reminds me very much of Ian Wright. He's that sort of centre forward. He can create something out of nothing. He's a bit of a poacher. I really rate him. I'm really pleased with him, and we'll get 3-4 years out of him. I'll be absolutely delighted. And he looks like he's buzzing to play for the club. Do I think he's got round it the right way? No. Is it as bad as Isak? No. But it still doesn't make it right. However, I'm delighted we've got him. I'm really, really pleased we've got him. He's a starter. But the quality of the team, would you say he's going to score more goals than Isak? Probably not. Therefore, you could argue the first team's slightly weaker. But as I say, the depth of the squad has been raised quite considerably. So overall, got to be pleased. But there are players that have got big question marks on them that we've bought in. I think he's gone down the route of, and I've probably forced him in some respects, of buying players who've got something to prove. I think Chow, I wasn't impressed with him when he came on the other week. I know others were. I wasn't. He's not got a great he's not had a great reputation at AC Milan. It's sort of a bit of the Titus Brambles sort of thing about him in terms of had a mistake in him. Hopefully, Howe will do what he did with Fabian Schär and remove that. And he'd be an absolute top draw player. And we're all going, oh, what a player we've bought. And I'm confident enough in Eddie Howe to know that he's capable of doing that because the record says so. Ramsey's another one where there's a question mark on him with regards to his fitness. I can't blame him for going off the other day, by the way. That was a terrible challenge on him. But there are questions on some of the players we've bought. And again, personally, I would have bought Semenyo as my first choice winger. But we've got who we've got, and I think he's a good player, and I think it turned out to be a good idea. So overall, pleased, 7 out of 10. Could be better. Could have been a lot worse. I mean, if we hadn't got 2 centre forwards in, would have been talking 1s and 2s out of 10. So the whole window has changed in 7 days. So yeah, pleased.
Okay, and what about the fee that we got for Alexander Isak? Fair?
Yeah, I think that's pretty reasonable. I mean, it was at 130 plus we didn't pay, and this is the Sky, honestly. You know, the fact that we've not paid for his release clause, you know, so we've not paid, I don't know, what is it, 10, 11 million or whatever it might be. I don't know. I'm plucking numbers out of the air here. But we haven't paid it. But it's not being added on Sky to say in terms of how much Liverpool paid for him. You know, it's very convenient. So I think we've done all right. And if you amortize it, I don't know what it works out at. I'm going to pluck a figure of about 350 after you sort of take out the 32 million that we owe, the money that we owe Real Sociedad. I think it was at a 10, 15 million clause on anything over 63 million. So I'm going to hazard a guess that we've got about 350 million to spend afterwards, which is great. Let's be honest. It's transformative. It would have been even better if we got that 20 million you could have thrown on top of for the Asula money. But there you have it. So yeah, I'm genuinely pleased on that front. Pleased to get him out of the club. I didn't think we would. I'll be honest. I didn't think we would. I think I said that last week. So that's worked out well. It's get that stink, the whole stink of the whole process out of the club, and let the club, let the players, let the management and the whole club itself move forward. And I don't want to hear about him again. And his statement, "I'm sorry, it's too late, mate. It's too late."
Well, that was my next question. Mitch did an interesting search on the internet with that. 95%, 95.6% chance of that being AI generated.
Is that right? I mean, let's be honest. We could all. I mean, me in particular with my work, we can all cobble statements together with regards to, thanking somebody for what you've done and all the rest of it. I mean, it could have been far more eloquent, couldn't it? In terms of what he'd said and what's happened, and he could have given it the whole. It's been a privilege to play for the best. Alongside the current club I'm going to, because you've got to sort of do that. It's a privilege to play for the two best sets of fans in the country, and he could have done all of that. He really could have done, and we'd have all went, yeah, we're better than Liverpool and this, that, and the other. But and we would have all went, well, fair dues. But he's handled it so bad, and he goes down, and he's ruined any legacy that he had, and he had a legacy as a legend. But we can't look at him now in the same way that we can look at Les Ferdinand. And Les Ferdinand was here for a shorter period of time. Les was here for 2 years. And, we all love Les. And he goes down, a bit like Andy Cole in some respects, who, lost a lot of respect for the song and all the rest of it. And obviously Michael Owen territory, I mean, that's the benchmark of Lowe, isn't it? And he's sort of, he's there. So, it's very sad. It's really, really sad.
Well, it is sad. And I mean, obviously, for me, you move on, but there's always going to be a story. The statement was a story, so that gets recycled. The big thing about the big reveal last night was that he's got the number 9 shirt. Now, there was that kind of myth surrounding his arrival at Newcastle. He wanted the 14 because that's the number he likes to play in. Goes to Liverpool, and straight away he's in the 9. So that raised my eyebrows, I've got to be honest.
Yeah, because the Liverpool number 7, that's the iconic number, isn't it? I was his 9. Yes, they've had some great centre forwards. Ian Rush was unbelievable until he looked like he had one leg when he played for Newcastle for a short while.
Let's get rid of Wembley.
I think he scored. I think he still scored against Everton. I could be wrong.
That was it. That was the goal. He got us to Wembley. He had to get us to Wembley. If he hadn't got us, that was one of the worst games I've ever been to.
We had some absolute shockers.
Shocking. 1-0. Ian Rush scored. It was his only goal for Newcastle United.
Oh dear me! And he was one of the.
Number 9 shirt for Isak. Is that was that almost another little thing? Do you think?
I don't think it's deliberate. I just think they've just gone down that route, and that's up to them. I mean, if you were Ekiteke, you would be absolutely devastated. You have to be, because the guys came in, started brilliantly, and now he's sort of pushed to the sidelines by a guy who's got a proven record in the Premier League. Mm-hmm. So I'd be a bit gutted. And he's along the likes of, you can put him in the category of Trafford and Delap and all these guys who thought they were going for better deals, but they're not going to get as much time on the pitch. I mean, Ekiteke will get more time than some of the others, but he must be a bit choked. But yeah, I'm pleased to get him out. It's the whole thing stinks. The whole process, it's been such a downer, and he's ruined the whole 2 months or 3 months or whatever it's been. The whole transfer window has just been absolutely ruined by it. We're going to keep him. And it's selfish. He should have come out, as I said last week. He should have come out after Everton. Although you could argue performances on the pitch probably showed the case, but he might argue otherwise, of course. But I mean, he should have just come out straight after the Everton game and said, listen, I want to go. And made it very public, and would have been miffed, but would have got on with it. So, I mean, Sesko looks like a bullet dodge, doesn't it? I was just seeing the comments there off Benny. It's Sesko, I've got a feeling, and I hope I'm right, is that he's going to be a player of great goals, but not a great goal scorer. So
Yeah.
that's what I suspect will happen. But
What did you make of Newcastle's statement? Short but sweet.
oh my God, it was telling, wasn't it? It was telling. Didn't even mention his goals. Didn't mention the fact that he was part of the cup winning team. I mean, that tells you how annoyed they are and how upset and cheesed off, is the polite way of saying it, by the whole process. So few words speak such volumes, I think is the line I'm going to use. He deserves it. He deserves it, though. He deserves it. I have no sympathy for him. You know, he's a grown man who's acted like a child, and more importantly, acted really unprofessional. And you could argue split the dressing room and split the fan base as well for a temporary period of time as well. Whereas now, of course, they're all unified in absolute disgust.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. See, Dean in the chat. Dean, I just want to thank you. And apologise to you. I didn't get your photographs until today on the NUFC Matters Facebook page. He inboxed us this. He was working in Carlisle and stumbled across this. Now, this is class. I remember these flying around the streets, mate. But an old Newcastle brewery's wagon, Scottish and Newcastle's wagon, even on the back, the original crates.
Oh, right.
And I love a bit of history, Sid. I do love a bit of history when it's connected to the area. But absolutely fantastic there. And there's the door. Look at that, man. Looks like it was painted today.
Yeah, the guy with the white beard, was he on something like, was he on Export or something like that? I can't remember.
Yeah, it was something like that. Yeah, but Dean, they were great, mate. Sorry it took us so long to get back to you and find them, but that was absolutely fantastic. So big thank you to you for that. Just getting back to the transfer window, and you know, Newcastle really have gone out and spent the money. You've already said, you know, they've done well with regards to recruitment, and you know, Newcastle were up there, top 4, top 5 Premier League spenders this year. I mean, at one point it looked as if Sunderland were going to go all in and be ahead of us, but Newcastle, you know, started slow, but tortoise in the hair, came good at the end. And the net spend, I believe, is 99, just short of 100 million, 99.3 million.
I don't think they included some of the money from last year in that on Sky, because I don't think they included the Miggy money and the money from Lloyd Kelly. I could be wrong. Somebody feel free to correct me, but I think that might be the case. It would have been a lot better if you would sold a Sula.
Yeah, I mean, funny enough, I did want to mention that because you mentioned Asula. I was at Leeds. He was awful. He was like a headless chicken. He was running. He doesn't know how to run. You know, he doesn't anticipate runs, but he doesn't know how to run the channels.
Steve. He's built like a cruiserweight, right? We're both big boxing fans. He's built like a cruiserweight, and he tackles like a featherweight. You know, and he should be knocking players off with his physical size. He's a big lad. You know,
he's a bit like Shola.
Yeah, but Shola at least he had the physicality about him.
Nobody. I mean, listen, my missus hates football. She came to one match with us. She basically said, "Why does that kid keep falling down?" And then she was talking about Shola. I think he's very like Shola in a lot of respects. But look, if we had an incoming, I would have let him go. If that meant that was somebody who was going to come in, I think it would have. I still think Asula's useful as a squad player, but if we're relying on him to score goals as, you know, somebody to play through the middle, it's never going to happen. If you can't do it against
Leeds, on the right wing, hasn't he? He's looked better on the right wing. He's got a trick about him. He's got blistering speed, as I said last week. They say he's the fastest in the club, even quicker than Alanga. But it's all well and good having loads of speed, but when you've got nothing else, you know, his first touch is terrible. He might go and do really well for Denmark, though, and he might start banging goals in. And if that's the case, we'll get a load of money for him at Christmas the following year. But he's got an awful lot to prove. And my argument would be, you've spent a year under Eddie Howe, and you've barely progressed. That says a lot to me. You know, the guy is such a good coach and so detailed, and progresses everybody. And if you barely moved in a year, you know, if we put on from 1 to 100 on a scale, he's gone to about 15.
Yeah.
You've got to question his aptitude and all the rest of it, or well, maybe he's not that, but more like his ability to learn. What's he doing? But he might come. And I said last week, he might be one of those guys who comes good later on in his career and all of a sudden gets to 25, 26, and it's clicked and he's banging them in for fun. And that does happen as well. Not everybody does not learn at the same pace. And that, again, from my career, that's something that you know and you learn. And that might well be the case with him. We shall see.
Maybe, yeah.
I think he's a top lad. He seems to be really, really popular in the dressing room. But that's all well and good. I'd happily be in the dressing room and be very popular for the amount of money he's on. Doesn't mean I can play football anymore. So
Yeah. I mean, of course, he was close to Isak as well. I mean, some people are notably on social media as usual having a pop at the likes of Anthony Gordon and Asula for daring to comment on another player leaving the club.
Yeah, I saw the Botman thing, but then this part of you think, it's his mate.
Yeah, exactly.
And whether you like it or not, it's still his friend. And it's like us doing it for our best friends. Just because they're in the sport doesn't mean they're not best friends, and you just have to suck it up, I'm afraid. And that's just the way it is. Yeah, it might not look ideal, but
yeah, that's the problem. With social media, unfortunately, everything is there and for everybody to see and comment on. So it is a bit of a nightmare. Out of all of the players that were signed in this transfer window, that said, who is for you the best signing?
I think it'll be Voldemort, but at the minute it's the lad up front. Wissa. I lost his name for a second. Wissa, just because he's a proven goal scorer, and I think, and I'm going to stick my neck out here and say he'll get at least 15 goals this season. The downside of everything is we've lost. And again, I think we've lost at least 5 points already. I think in terms of where we should be on at least 7. And I mean, we'll come to Leeds in a minute, but we should be on at least 7. We should have got something from the Liverpool game. I think we might have won it with a centre forward. We'd have definitely beaten Aston Villa. We could probably still be playing against Leeds and not score. So that's one of them games, I think. But we should, in my opinion, be on 7 points.
Yeah. Mark Byers is the one who, basically said Voldemort was that he called that weeks ago, saying that Newcastle should be in for him.
I watched him on the under-21s, and I'd never seen him before, so I'm not going to pretend and come forward and say, I knew all about him. I'd watched him in the under-21s because I watched the whole tournament, and he looked excellent. But he's not an out-and-out striker, but he's got loads of skill. And people are quite lazy giving it. He's a bit like Peter Crouch, because he's tall. It's like stupid. He's very, very skillful. They call him, was it still called? They called him Walter Messi. Was obviously a bit of a mick take on the word Walter Mitty, which I thought was very, very clever. Nice pun. He looks like a terrific footballer, but remember as well, he's only come good in the last year. He's only just come good in the last year. However, he looks like a proper player, and Eddie Howe will in my opinion, transform him, and bring him on leaps and bounds, because the kid's got something. When you watched him on the under-21 against his peers, he looked head and pardon the pun, because he is literally, but he looked head and shoulders above everybody else up front. He was able to bully players. He was able to just glide past players. He looked like a complete centre forward. He scored a couple of real bangers as well. So I'm quite excited by him. But I didn't get excited about us going to get him in the summer because I didn't think it was possible to get him. I would have had him over Sesko all day long, just due to the fact that I thought Bayern Munich were going to get him. I thought that was a done deal. And I think Newcastle might well have thought that as well. And other clubs who didn't go in for him probably thought it was already a done deal because of Bayern Munich. Because he's got a lot more in common, bar the skill factor, with Harry Kane, where Kane's not an out-and-out 9, really. He often drops deep and brings others into the game, and this kid's a little bit like that. So yes, Tom, I do expect him. I expect actually over the season to be a formation change. I think there'll be formation changes. I think there'll be 4-3-3. I think he'll go 4-2, and then he'll like have a different formation with a striker and Voldemort be behind. And I think it'll change. So there'll be various formation changes. As long as there's not 5 at the back too often, I don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know enough about him, Mark, to say whether he's good in the air or not. I'll have to take your judgment on that. But his all-round footballing ability is quite clear.
His stats are all right in the air. He's definitely better than Isak in the air, who was not very good in the air. But he's not brilliant for a guy who's 6'6". Having watched the show with the young lad Antonio Mango, who really knows his stuff, he looks good in the air, if not like Les Ferdinand-esque or anything like that. Or Andy Carroll would be more appropriate, obviously, because of the height factor. He's not Andy Carroll, but he's all right. But again, that's another part of the game that can be progressed and be built upon, And we've now suddenly started doing long throws and everything. Where that's come from, I'm not sure. So we've got other aspects of the game that sort of might bring him in for things like that. And in the box, we're going to have a team full of giants. You've got Dan Burn, you've got Sher, Big Joe. You'll have him. There's some big lads that we're going to have up there up front, off a corner and off throw-ins. So, yeah.
Dave, just on that post from the players, they've all got each other's numbers. They could have just texted each other, so they don't need to do a public showing of gratitude to that friend, which is a fair point. I've got to be honest. And finishing this on the transfer window before we go to the ads, Chris says, genuine question: why is there always such a late flurry of transfer activity when clubs have got 3 months?
I was talking about this earlier on, actually, and my personal opinion is that there should be no transfer window when the season starts. It should have been. I agree. And I still think the same deals would have occurred beforehand. You'd have still got the flurry before where people suddenly panic and look at their finances and wonder, are we going to get so much money for this guy who's got like 2 weeks left, etc. Or sorry, who's got 1 year on his contract or 2 years on his contract? Are we going to do the deal? And all the clubs will just come to the same decisions. Therefore, why do we have to wait 3 weeks, 2 weeks in? It made no sense to me whatsoever. I don't understand why all the clubs around Europe don't just get together and say, yeah, let's just do that and let's stop it. And the only people who benefit out of this are certain journalists who love it and Sky Sports, because it keeps them full and occupied on TV all of the time.
Yeah, and you're right, Mozza, about the stats. Worcester didn't score penalties. That was down to Mbuemo and others. And he scored 19 goals.
Was he in the League Cup game against us last year?
I can't remember. If I'm
not when you have to take the penalty, I can't remember. They were first or second game in the League Cup. I can't remember now. But
we'll have to look at that. Somebody might be able to do that while we'll have an ad break. Okay, we'll have an ad break. We'll be back with a little bit of music after this. A big thanks to all our sponsors, Skips and Bins. You can find them at their website, skipsandbins.com. Contact them at www.skipsandbins.com/contact. Say hello to low-cost waste disposal with pay-as-you-go and contract waste management. A big thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. You can find them at their website, mrvickies.co.uk, email info@mrvickies.co.uk, or telephone 01768 210 102. Thanks to our fanzine sponsor, United Group Travel. There are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. 2 crew driver and courier, local family company, 3-star plus quality hotels and no interchanges. Hot and cold snacks and drinks available on the coach, all excursions included. Their website, unitedgrouptravel.com, email beverly.ugtl@gmail.com, telephone 01670 632 460 or 0791 666 4174. Just £30 per person deposit. Thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the technical side of things. And if you like listening to us as a podcast, you can go to Sports Social Podcast Network or to iTunes, Spotify, or other podcast providers. If you want to support the show, then hit the subscribe button. It's free. We do 7 shows a week. Hit the little thumb up under the video, which is the like button, or click share to share to your social media. You can also join the channel on YouTube by hitting the join button for as little as $1.99 a month. If you want to become an NUFC Matters member, you can go to nufcmatters.co.uk. It's a £25 one-off fee. You get your pen, you get your badge, a key ring, you get your beer mat and your fridge magnet and your membership card, nufcmatters.co.uk for that. And we have an event early next year, 13th of February 2026, an evening with Beardsley, Waddle and Gascoigne takes place at the Tyne Theatre and Opera House. To buy your tickets for that event, go to the box office 0191 243 1171 or Tyne Theatre and Opera House.uk. And don't forget, we have 11 fanzine subscriptions to sell. NUFC Matters fanzine for this season, 4 issues for £25, which includes your postage. All proceeds going to Age UK North Tyneside Dementia. And here is a little glimpse of the cover of the new issue. There we go. Never mind the Swede. Here's Visa and Voltamada, issue 5. So typical fanzine style this time. We're going for a black and white inside, no colour. We're going to have a colour cover, of course, but inside we're going old school this season to mix it up a little bit. But that doesn't alter the quality of the magazine and, of course, doesn't alter the quality of the articles as well. Okay, time for a little bit of music.
I hope everyone's well. Unfortunately, this is a pre-record for me. I have an appointment this evening, but I will be back next week as usual. So please put in your recommendations for me, your albums, first album you bought, that sort of thing. Where were you when you bought it? A little bit of a background. So yeah, last week it was Tim C recommended Out of the Blue by, I've printed this off, ELO, obviously Electric Light Orchestra. And this was 1977. So I've decided I'm just going to do the singles from the album this week, and next week I'll a bit more deep diving on another recommendation. I think this is the second or third time I've done ELO now. So yeah, orchestral pop, really, I would say. There was 6 songs, 5, 6 singles off this album. The reason I'm just doing the singles from this, it's a double album, it's about 30 to 40 tracks on the album. But so this was produced by Jeff Lynne, and I hear his health's not too good just now as well. So, you know, hopefully he's okay and returns to the stage. So I'm going to open with Turn to Stone, very, very gallopy. This one, it's got your typical staple sound of ELO, constant change of direction with ELO, which is nice. It's sort of nice key changes, nice hooks. It's actually quite a really romantic song. The lyrics being, I turn to stone when you're gone, I turn to stone when you're coming home. So I didn't realise it. I didn't really pay much attention to ELO. I was aware of them in the 70s. So yeah, it's a good song. It's very, very gallopy. It's straight into it. Then you've got Mr. Blue Sky. Again, it's a song about return to happiness after a period of darkness in your life. Again, it's straight in, right after the drum fill. Bang. Straight in. It's really, really good. To me, this is the most popular song. For me, it's sort of like fun, sort of science fiction as well. Is that like a science fiction, like vocal effect on the choruses? There's an awful lot going on in this classic song, but when I listen to it, when he's saying Mr. Blue Sky with the effect, I don't know if anyone will remember the song called Just Buggin' by Whistle. It just reminded me of it. It sort of made me giggle. You've got Sweet Talking Woman. Really, really nice fiddle or viola or violin in the intro. Very, very upbeat. this one sort of does bring back pleasant childhood memories for me. I think it was 1978, but that's when I remember this. I think again, all Yellow's songs, they sound very, very familiar, but so different. That again, it's the arrangements and the direction they go in. It's just really, really good. Yeah, definitely ahead of their time as well. It is a good song. Again, I've not listened to the whole album, but I have chose just the singles of it. So one day I'll maybe go back and see what else they're doing on the rest of the albums there. Then you've got Wild West Hero. I put the video onto this one. You know, yes, it's a country western cowboys intro in the video. It's quite a somber song. It's warm, it's lovely, good production, nice piano part. It's it did remind me of Love of My Life by Queen. There's a nice drum intro after the first verse, and then it kicks straight into the song. It's good though, it's a good song. It's okay. I think it's the weakest single of the ones I've chosen. Then you've got the final song, It's Over. It's emotional, it's quite haunting, but again, it's a beautiful warmth, depth of the arrangements. Again, nice acoustic guitar parts on this, going along with the orchestra parts, sitting in the background, really nice. Simple bass and drums, flat four, just doing what they do, guiding the band and everything, whether just holding it together, just solid. Again, like I say, it's unexpected changes again and direction that I think, to me, like I said before, it sounds so familiar, but yet so different. And I think it's a direction that keeps them interesting. Only if Robert Smith from The Cure could maybe take a leaf out of Jeff Lynne's book to keep, people a little more interested. So yeah, that's my review for this week until next week. So please, if you can, leave me some comments. Leave me some recommendations. I do go through them all. I do look at them, and I will try and reply. But I'm very interested in your favourite album. What was your first albums? That sort of thing. And again, hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And before I go, if anyone's seen this, just let me know in the comments. Thank you, guys.
Very good, Rob. Thank you very much for that excellent review. And if you've got a review, please leave it in the comments below the video when it goes live after we finish, and we will get it on there. And Rob's album that he wasn't reviewing this week was this one, which I've actually listened to.
I listened to it as well. It was really catchy.
It is. It's not a bad album, that. So get yourself on it now. Yeah, the title, it's quite interesting. But
it's got this weird sort of country, lovely, really catchy sort of those were the days sort of feel.
Mm-hmm. It's not what you think.
It's actually a really catchy song. I know it sounds mad, but it is.
It is. It is. It definitely is. Okay, what are you going to give us this week?
So I was saying I love Yellow. I think we mentioned this the other week. Whenever I do a DJ slot, I always play Yellow. And as I say, me and my wife went to see the tribute band the other week, and the guy had a big wig on and all the rest of it. And in between songs, he spoke like Bobby Ball. All right, everyone, good song and all the rest of it. And it was like really, really bizarre, but brilliant. Anyway, enough of that waffle. So I've gone with, I'm going to do Alan Hull next week because somebody requested it. But this week I've gone, because I've not had much time, I've gone with, alongside The Who, my favourite band, even though David Bowie's my favourite artist, The Who and Queen are my favourite bands. So I've gone with Queen 1, which has just been remastered last year. And what a difference the sound is compared to the original mix. So they've gone in and remixed it totally, and the drums sound so different. It's unreal. It's almost like a different album. The drums and the guitar have got a hugely different sound. It's an incredible album. I'm going to read some of my notes though. Released in 1973. It was a bit of a hit. It was quite a hit at the time. It was recorded during Downtown in Trident Studios, which is I think it's Soho way. I could be wrong. And it was during when David Bowie was recording with Lou Reed, so they'd be in during the day or whatever, and Queen would do the times they weren't recording, would go in and use most of the same gear, to be perfectly honest. It's a great album. It's really as hard rock as it gets. This owes a lot more to sort of Led Zeppelin and Deep Purple and Black Sabbath a little bit than it does say sort of the more poppier elements that Queen would sometimes have later on. So it's more rock, prog with a little bit of glam thrown in, which you kind of beat. It's a terrific album. Keep Yourself Alive is the first one on, and most people know that song. It was a huge hit, and they'd also play it live right up to Freddie's death, really, or the last tour of '86. So Keep Yourself Alive kicks it all off with a great guitar rhythm, and then everyone just piles in, and the drums sound amazing on it. It really, really does. It's just a really, really catchy song, and Freddie's singing is, as ever, just sublime. We've then got Doing All Right, which was originally recorded with the previous band of Smile before pre-Fred days and pre-John Deacon. So Brian May and Roger Taylor. And this is a great song. It's sort of proto-metal. It starts off with a US country, southern country sort of twang to it, really laid back. And then Brian May just kicks in, and it's proper hard rock. It's no surprise that sadly the guy who died at the Foo Fighters, this was his favorite album, and you can see why. Great King Rat comes on, a storytelling song, and again, it's really hard rock. It's got a sort of metal sort of to it as well. Really good acoustic guitar playing as ever by Brian May. We then got My Fairy King. Roger Taylor hits a note that only dogs can hear on it. It's so high. Makes Robert Plant sound like Barry White. It's a ridiculously high note. And in the song, Freddie Mercury sings the line Mother Mercury, and that's where he gets his name from as well. So he dropped Bulsara and went with Mercury. We've then got Liar, which is an incredible drum intro song. Now, I can't remember. I've been trying to rack my brains, and I even went on YouTube and still couldn't find it. There was a TV show in the early 80s, and they used to use the intro to Liar on it. And it used to feature John Cooper Clarke on the show. It's like a youth sort of show. If somebody can remind us, that would be great. But this is an excellent song. Liar really kicks off sort of side two. Brilliant drums, really great rocker. Could easily have been on something like Led Zeppelin 4. This album's got all of that going on. Then The Night Came Down. This is basically almost sort of, it's got like a Metallica sort of acoustic sort of style riff on it. John Deacon's bass is brilliant on it. And then it goes into almost like a Mott the Hoople type of riff. So full-on 70s rock. Then we've got Modern Times Rock and Roll, which is about a minute and a half long. And it's basically a thrash song. It's full-on hardcore, straight in at 100 miles an hour. Roger Taylor singing. Brilliant. Sons and Daughters comes on. And this has got a lot more in common with Led Zeppelin 1 and 2, which is like a blues guitar riff. And they would do that riff again right up to the last tour in '86. And it would keep coming in before certain songs, or when they were doing an improv slot, they would throw that line in. Then we've got, some would argue, the weakest song on the album, but I quite like it. And it's the song Jesus, which is a narration about Jesus. And it's a really good song. And then we have an instrumental short version of Seven Seas of Rye, which they would then go on and do for Queen 2, which is a much more proggy album. This is much more of a hard rock album. This is one of my favorite ever albums. It's a 5-star album, but the new version is brilliant with the remix. One thing I want to pick up on here, though, and I've not heard it, but one of the guys I follow on YouTube, and he was commenting on the fact that they've gone in, and I'm not blaming Roger or Brian here, because this is probably more likely to be the record company, and they've auto-tuned some vocals. I think this is wrong. I have a real bugbear about this. This is wrong. People who've died, or whatever, musicians, you should not go in and then subsequently auto-tune what they've done in the past, because that's creating new sounds that didn't exist on the records in the first place. So I don't believe in that. They've done that to the Bee Gees as well. And it's often bands like Queen who no longer own the rights to their songs because they'll have sold them for a huge amount. So yeah, it's a tad annoying, but I've not really heard it on the album, but apparently it is there. Why do you want to have Freddie on a perfect line on the C's for? As a singer myself, you're either slightly above, slightly below, or on the line, and that's part of being a singer. You're never perfect. and that the imperfections make your voice. And Fred is one of the greatest singers of all time. So yeah, that's the album. Film-wise, I thought we'd keep it really simple, and we'll go with the Bohemian Rhapsody film. Just waiting for the artwork. There we go. It's won an Oscar as well, didn't it? I forgot the lad's name in it now in the film, but it's that'd be dead quick about it. It's just a straightforward story telling you the story of Freddie's life and how he joined the band Queen, and obviously about the fact that he came out and was openly gay. Well, wasn't openly. We didn't really know until just before he died, but it was pretty obvious. What I will say as well is the song Bohemian Rhapsody. There are lots of theories about it. Mine, and I agree with the ones that I've read, is that this is his sort of coming out song, and then he sort of killed off his past. Absolutely, what a great song! The great thing about songs is they're open to loads of interpretations. But it's a good film. Yes, it takes liberties with some of the timelines, but it's just a great story. And what I really love now is the fact that Queen are massive in America, and they didn't used to be. They used to be big-ish, but they're now massive. And if you look on the Spotify lists, they're like the number one played artist in certain states in America now. That wouldn't have happened 20, 30 years ago. So they're absolutely huge now, which I love. And again, I think it was BBC Radio 2 did a poll a few years ago now, and Queen were the biggest band in Britain, and it wasn't the Beatles. It was Queen. I love the Beatles as well. But yeah, it was Queen. And I had the great pleasure of seeing them in 1986 at St. James's Park. And your friend Malcolm Dix, Steve, his daughters, I used to go to school with them, and one of them got me 2 tickets to go and see him at St. James's Park. And I must have done about 3,500 gigs, and that's still the best gig I've ever been to.
Wow.
So yeah, unbelievable.
Wonderful stuff. Alan, just keeping on the music theme, said, what is your favourite band of all time, Sid?
Well, my favourite artist is David Bowie, and my favourite bands, and it's a toss-up, is The Who or Queen. So it really is.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Well, that is the end of our musical interlude this week. Wonderful stuff from Rob. He will be back next Tuesday to give us another album. Don't forget, leave them in the comments. I've put it off long enough. Give us your views on the Leeds game at the weekend. I put it into the second half deliberately because I didn't want to relive it.
It was awful. Oh my God, it was so turgid. I'll tell you what I'm really delighted at. I was playing golf, and it took so long to play this round of golf on Saturday that I actually had to listen to the first 20 minutes driving home in the car. And I thought, this sounds terrible. I got in the house and stuck it on. And it was even worse. It was even worse physically watching it, because at least John Anderson made it sound half reasonable. Was there any positives? My man of the match was Nick Pope. I thought he was very good. And people said, oh, he didn't do anything. Yeah, but he did all the things he had to do. And he came out and caught all the crosses. There was one little tricky cross, and he caught it with one hand. And I thought, yeah, probably saved the goal. Did a decent save at the end. I thought Tino was very good as a left back. I'm quite worried whether Tino's a better left back than a right back. And I am genuinely concerned about that. I want to be proven otherwise. Otherwise, we've got 2 potentially world-class left backs on our books. And yeah, that's something that might need addressing. I hope not. He's a clever lad, and he knows what he's doing. I'm hoping. I just want to see the same form on the right. He's fantastic on the left. And people remember Dennis Irwin played on left back all his life and was right-footed. And he was brilliant. There's still a strong argument, well, after Ashley Cole, that he's probably the next best left back. But this Tino's got it all. I just hope he's going to do it on the right. It was absolutely turgid. I think that was Bruno's worst game. After having watched him last week at Liverpool, and he was brilliant, and he was a 10 out of 10. I would have hooked him at half time.
See, like in the flesh, he had a good game.
Did he? Oh, he was. Oh, honestly,
him and Tino were the best outfield players. But the man of the match, you were definitely right, was Nick Pope. He had a really good game. Did everything right. Kicking was spot on. Worst players on the pitch, in order, were Asula, Barnes, and Elanga. 3 worst players on the pitch.
Elanga was terrible. It was like Franz Carr-esque.
Yeah.
It's it was, and I'm not going to blame anybody. It was just rubbish. What I will blame is the system is terrible. Why are we playing 5 at the back against Leeds United? Why are we doing that?
I think he went into that game not wanting to lose for a few reasons. Uncertainty on the transfer window, not knowing whether we'd get anybody in. Uncertainty over Isak and whether he would still have to reintegrate the player. I just think he went down there with the sole ambition of not losing the game, and I think it was a ploy. I don't think he wanted to go into the international break on a defeat. I think there was a few reasons, but I definitely think he went down there with the aim of we don't get beat, Sid, and he doesn't do it very often. But I think that was more for morale and everything else. I think he probably had that all in his mind. Plus, he doesn't trust Asula, and I've got to be honest, neither do I.
Yeah, he was rubbish. It just bounced off him all of the time. I just watched it and there was nothing where I thought, oh, well, that's good. You know, they just couldn't string 2 passes together. I thought the young lad who got Ramsey looked pretty good until he got injured.
Yeah,
but it was. But I might be clutching at straws for that, if I'm being perfectly honest. I felt sorry for the likes of Barnes. I thought there's enough on the bench to have changed it up a bit if that were the case, if he was worried about tiredness, because I can appreciate them being mentally tired after Monday. I mean, it's a proper kick in the teeth when you've got like a minute to go and then the other team go up and score. It really hurts. And I think it hurts more mentally than physically, because I think if we got a point out of that, the lads would have still been physically bouncing on Saturday. And everything went against with it the weekend, didn't it? Like the bloody Sunderland won in the last minute, Man United won in the last minute, and it was chucking it down with rain. It couldn't have been worse. You know?
I'm not getting to the point where I'm worried about Sunderland. Ramsey was the big highlight, though, Gary. You're right. I thought, I think he really was. Marcus has asked the question I was going to ask you at the end of the show, and we're now at the end of the show. What is your prediction now? Then said after the transfer window is closed and you've seen a bit of us.
As the teams know better, the first teams know better, but no worse. I'm going to go.
That's a big call.
5th,
which is what I predicted at the start of the season.
Yeah.
You don't think the team's better?
No, I think the squad.
Only because we've lost Isak.
I think the squad's better. I think the first team squad's miles better. The depth of the squad is better, but the first 11's not. I don't think it's any better. I genuinely don't. Otherwise, you might have had somebody coming in the midfield who maybe, and sounds horrible, could have taken Joe Linton's place on occasions, or Bruno's on occasions, and challenged them as players. But I'm not sure we've got somebody who's instantly going to jump in and do that. I would have argued that is the lad on the right wing a massive upgrade on Murphy? I'm not sure he is. He's
in the top 3 along with Murphy and Salah last season.
I know that's what I'm saying, though. Therefore, if we'd got someone like Eze, I would have said, well, absolutely. But we haven't. So I'm not convinced yet. I'm there to be convinced, and I still think 5th's pretty decent. I have to say it. But I genuinely thought if we'd got 1 or 2 immediate first team starters who had to start, and some of the better players that we've got had to go on the bench, then I would have said we would have been in the top 3.
I think with Champions League, I think with Champions League we're going to struggle to finish top 4 this season. That's why I went 5th right at the start.
Ironically, I think the squad's so much better that we'll handle it miles better this time round.
Yeah, the squad's better. Yeah, I mean, I find it interesting you say that the team isn't, because I
don't think the team's any better because you're taking Isak out there who scored 20-something goals.
But you put in Wissa, who scored 19, and if you take the penalties of Isak, they scored the same amount of goals last season.
I know, but you still have the penalties, don't you? And then you
do.
And your argument is that Isak only really played about 50% of the season fully fit, or was doing
or trying it all. Because
I'm not going to say that, but you know what I'm saying. But you know, he might certainly come up and say otherwise. But when he was fully, you know, looked like the man, as it were. So yeah, that's my opinion anyway. I just don't think it's massively. I don't think it's an upgrade yet. I think we're no better, no worse. I think we're there or thereabouts. But the squad's miles better. The squad's
And
miles.
we've got money to spend in January and in the summer.
Yes, we have, and this is where it'll all change. So
yeah, they need to finish. They need really to finish in the Champions League position at the end of the season. For me, that would help massively. Financially, it would help.
Hugely.
And of course, when you finish in the Champions League, then you're stopping another team who needs to finish in the Champions League, like Villa, for example, or Manchester United.
I think Villa are in trouble. I do. I think Villa are going to be mid-table this year. I think it's Spurs. Maybe one to watch. Not Man United. Their defense is terrible.
Oh, if you speak to Melly, he's convinced that it's the best season ever. They've got a fan zone in the car park. Brian Robson's been because obviously me and Melly have this constant backwards and forwards. Like mind the gap. We'll send each other mind the gap whenever we'll go above each other. But it's a bizarre thing, Man United. But that's not our problem.
No, I don't see it. I really don't see it. I think we all know who the four are going to be. It's going to be Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal, Chelsea, and then it's who's playing for fifth. And I think it's us. I think it's Spurs, and I think that's it. If I'm being perfectly honest,
it's who copes best, and who gets lucky with injuries for those kind of positions in the top 5, top 6, isn't it? Really, who copes well with European football and Premier League football, and those, of course, who get a good run in the Carabao or the FA Cup. It's just down to luck, suspensions and injuries.
It is, but it also might be breakout seasons for a number of our players this year as well. The young lad from Korea, this could be a big, the lad might suddenly come and look like a superstar, and you may go, oh, wow, where's he come from? And then you got other players. Miley might step up to the plate and look fantastic. So it's a big season for some of the for the players. Who's going to win the league? Oh, I said at the beginning of the season, Man City, brother. It's not looking good. I'm going to stick to Man City.
Wow. Okay. Interesting stuff, mate. The clock has beaten us. As always, thank you for coming on and taking part in the show. Thanks to Rob. Thanks to every person in the chat. Thanks to the moderators. Back tomorrow, 3 Amigos on a Wednesday at 6 o'clock till 7:30. And don't forget, please subscribe to Songs from the Attic, which is Sid's channel. If you want a bit of music fix. Thanks a lot, mate. Take care. See you next week.
Take care, folks. Bye-bye.